What if the solution to stiffness, aging skin, and daily discomfort wasn't in another expensive product, but sitting quietly in your kitchen right now? Two simple ingredients, one overlooked combination, and for men over 60, it can quietly shift how your body feels every single day. There comes a point where the body starts negotiating with you. Movements feel heavier, skin loses its resilience, recovery slows down, and most people accept it as inevitable. But what if it's not about fighting age? What if it's about supporting the body differently? Castor oil penetrates deeply, carrying with it properties that calm inflammation beneath the surface. Baking soda works on the outside, clearing, balancing, resetting. Alone, they do something. Together, they create a simple system, one that doesn't demand complexity, just consistency, and that's where most people underestimate its power. The combination works by addressing two of the most common underlying issues men over 60 experience: reduced circulation and low-grade, persistent inflammation that quietly affects joints, muscles, and skin. With age, the body's ability to move nutrients efficiently and clear out metabolic waste slows down, which often shows up as stiffness, dull skin, and prolonged recovery after even minor physical activity. This is where the interaction between castor oil and baking soda becomes relevant. Castor oil penetrates deeply into the skin layers due to its unique fatty acid structure, allowing it to carry its anti-inflammatory properties beneath the surface rather than just sitting on top. This supports localized blood flow and helps ease tension in areas that feel tight or overworked. At the same time, baking soda works more superficially, gently exfoliating dead skin cells and helping to neutralize excess acidity on the skin's surface, which can contribute to irritation and imbalance. When combined, the oil acts as a delivery system, while the baking soda clears the pathway, allowing better absorption and a more noticeable effect over time. This dual action creates an environment where the skin is not only smoother, but also more responsive, and the underlying tissues feel less restricted. The effect is subtle at first, often overlooked by those expecting immediate transformation. But with repeated use, the body begins to respond more efficiently, showing improvements in comfort, flexibility, and overall skin condition without introducing complexity or dependency on multiple products. Castor oil stands out because of its unusually high concentration of ricinoleic acid, a fatty acid that behaves differently from most others found in natural oils. When applied to the skin, it doesn't just sit on the surface acting as a barrier, it actively interacts with the tissue beneath, creating a deeper level of absorption that becomes increasingly valuable as the body ages. For men over 60, this matters because the skin naturally becomes thinner, drier, and less efficient at retaining moisture, which also affects how well it can protect underlying muscles and joints. Ricinoleic acid plays a role in reducing localized inflammation by influencing the body's natural inflammatory response, helping calm areas that feel stiff, swollen, or overworked. This is not an aggressive or immediate reaction, but a gradual shift where repeated application begins to ease discomfort and restore a sense of mobility in targeted areas. The oil also has humectant properties, meaning it draws moisture into the skin while simultaneously sealing it in, which improves elasticity and reduces the rough, fragile texture that often develops with age. Beyond hydration, this improved skin condition supports better circulation near the surface, allowing nutrients and oxygen to move more freely, which indirectly benefits muscle recovery and joint comfort. Over time, this creates a compounding effect where the skin becomes more resilient and the underlying tissues feel less restricted, not because something external is forcing change, but because the body is being supported in a way that aligns with how it naturally functions. Baking soda operates on a different level, focusing primarily on the skin surface, where many subtle imbalances begin to form over time. As men age, the skin's natural turnover slows down, leading to a buildup of dead skin cells that can block pores, create rough texture, and reduce the skin's ability to absorb beneficial substances. This is where baking soda becomes effective, not as a harsh scrub, but as a controlled exfoliating agent that gently loosens and removes this outer layer without requiring aggressive friction. Its fine, crystalline structure allows it to smooth the surface while maintaining a level of softness that minimizes irritation when used correctly. At the same time, baking soda plays a role in regulating the skin's pH balance, which tends to shift with age due to environmental exposure, reduced oil production, and changes in hydration levels. When the skin's pH becomes too acidic or too alkaline, it can lead to dryness, sensitivity, and a weakened barrier that struggles to protect against external stressors. By helping to neutralize this imbalance, baking soda supports a more stable environment where the skin can function more efficiently. This improved balance enhances the skin's ability to retain moisture and respond to other ingredients applied alongside it. In practical terms, this means the skin feels smoother, appears clearer, and becomes more receptive to absorption, allowing treatments applied afterward to work more effectively. Over time, this consistent surface-level refinement contributes to a noticeable improvement in texture and resilience, reinforcing the idea that small, simple interventions can create meaningful changes when they align with the body's natural processes. The effectiveness of this combination becomes more apparent when focusing on joint comfort and muscle relaxation, two areas that gradually demand more attention with age. As the body moves past 60, the natural cushioning around joints begins to thin, circulation slows, and muscles tend to hold tension longer after physical activity or even prolonged inactivity. This often creates a cycle where stiffness limits movement, and limited movement further reduces flexibility. When a mixture of castor oil and baking soda is applied topically, it introduces a layered effect that addresses both surface tension and deeper discomfort. Castor oil works by penetrating into the skin and supporting localized blood flow, which helps deliver oxygen and nutrients to tight or fatigued areas. This increase in circulation plays a quiet but important role in loosening muscles and easing the sensation of stiffness that builds up around joints. At the same time, baking soda contributes by softening the outer skin and reducing minor surface inflammation, creating a more relaxed environment where tension is less likely to persist. The act of applying the mixture, often through gentle massage, further enhances this effect by stimulating the underlying tissues and encouraging movement in areas that may otherwise remain stagnant. Over time, this repeated process can help reduce the feeling of rigidity, making everyday movements feel more fluid and less restricted. The change is not sudden or dramatic, but it becomes noticeable in how the body responds to motion, how quickly it recovers, and how much resistance is felt during routine activities, gradually shifting the experience from limitation toward ease. Before going further, take a moment to commit to your own standard. Not perfection, just consistency. If you're willing to test something simple that could improve how you feel daily, stay with this. The impact on skin texture, dryness, and minor irritation becomes more noticeable because this combination works across multiple layers rather than addressing only the surface. As men age, the skin gradually loses its ability to retain moisture and regenerate efficiently, leading to rough patches, flaking, and a dull appearance that reflects deeper structural changes. When castor oil is applied, it forms a dense, protective layer that not only locks in existing moisture, but also draws hydration into the skin due to its humectant properties. This helps soften hardened areas and restore a level of suppleness that the skin struggles to maintain on its own. At the same time, baking soda works to gently remove the buildup of dead skin cells that prevent this moisture from penetrating effectively. Without this step, even the most hydrating substances tend to sit on top, offering only temporary relief. By clearing this barrier, baking soda allows the oil to reach deeper layers where dryness originates. The combination also plays a role in calming minor irritation, which often develops from environmental exposure, friction, or prolonged dryness. Castor oil contributes anti-inflammatory properties that soothe the skin, while baking soda helps neutralize imbalances that can trigger sensitivity or itching. This creates a more stable surface where the skin feels less reactive and more resilient to daily stress. Over time, repeated use leads to a smoother, more even texture, where roughness gradually fades and the skin begins to reflect a healthier condition, not through temporary masking, but through consistent support that aligns with its natural repair process. The value of this combination becomes especially clear in foot care, an area often neglected despite carrying constant physical stress over decades. For men over 60, The feet tend to develop thickened skin, calluses, and dryness due to repeated pressure, reduced circulation, and slower skin regeneration. These changes are not just cosmetic, they can lead to discomfort, cracking, and even affect balance and mobility over time. When a mixture of castor oil and baking soda is applied to the feet, it creates a targeted approach that works on both the hardened outer layer and the underlying dryness. Baking soda begins the process by loosening and softening the thickened skin, gently breaking down the dense buildup that forms calluses without the need for aggressive scraping. This makes the surface more pliable and easier to manage. At the same time, castor oil penetrates into the deeper layers, delivering moisture where the skin has become rigid and prone to cracking. Its consistency allows it to stay in place longer, creating sustained hydration that gradually restores flexibility to areas that have become stiff and unresponsive. The combination also helps reduce minor irritation caused by friction from shoes or prolonged standing, calming the skin and supporting a more balanced environment. When used consistently, especially with gentle massage or after soaking the feet, the results compound over time, leading to softer skin, reduced callus formation, and an overall improvement in comfort. This shift is not immediate, but becomes evident in how the feet feel during daily movement, with less tightness, fewer rough patches, and a greater sense of ease in an area that often carries the burden of years without receiving adequate care. The real shift comes from understanding that results are not driven by intensity, but by repetition, especially when the body is no longer in a phase of rapid recovery. Men over 60 often expect stronger, faster solutions to compensate for slower biological processes, but this approach usually creates inconsistency or irritation rather than progress. With a combination like castor oil and baking soda, the effect builds gradually, which means the body responds best to steady, predictable application rather than occasional overuse. Each time the mixture is applied, small adjustments take place beneath the surface, from improved moisture retention to subtle increases in circulation and reduced tension in targeted areas. These changes may feel insignificant in isolation, but they accumulate over time, reinforcing each other in a way that creates visible and physical improvement. Skipping days or applying it aggressively in short bursts disrupts this process, often leading to dryness or sensitivity instead of progress. The skin and underlying tissues adapt through rhythm, not force, and consistency provides that rhythm. It allows the body to anticipate and respond, gradually improving how it manages hydration, elasticity, and localized discomfort. This is particularly important in aging skin, where recovery mechanisms are slower and more dependent on external support. A simple, repeatable routine removes complexity and increases adherence, which ultimately determines whether any method produces results. Over time, this steady approach creates a baseline where improvements are not temporary spikes, but part of a new normal, where the body functions with less resistance and greater efficiency, shaped by repeated, controlled input rather than occasional effort. The effectiveness of this approach depends heavily on how it is used, because even simple ingredients can create unwanted effects when applied without control. With a combination like castor oil and baking soda, the balance between benefit and irritation is determined by proportion, frequency, and awareness of how the skin responds over time. Baking soda, while useful for exfoliation and pH balancing, has an alkaline nature that can disrupt the skin's natural barrier if used too often or in excessive amounts. This can lead to dryness, sensitivity, or a weakened surface that becomes more reactive instead of more resilient. Castor oil, on the other hand, is dense and highly occlusive, which means overuse can clog pores or create a heavy layer that prevents the skin from breathing properly in certain areas. Moderation ensures that each ingredient performs its role without overpowering the other. Applying a small, controlled amount allows the baking soda to gently refine the surface, while the oil supports deeper hydration and anti-inflammatory effects. Frequency also plays a critical role, as daily use may be beneficial for some areas, like feet, but excessive for more sensitive skin. Observing how the skin reacts after each application becomes part of the process, allowing adjustments that keep the routine effective without crossing into irritation. This measured approach aligns with how the body adapts over time, where gradual support leads to stability and resilience. The goal is not to push the skin into rapid change, but to create conditions where it can improve steadily, avoiding setbacks that come from overcorrection or neglect of subtle warning signs. The difference is not in discovering something new, but in finally recognizing what has been overlooked. Two simple elements, castor oil and baking soda, working together not as a quick fix, but as a quiet system that supports the body where it has slowly been losing ground. This is not about reversing age or chasing unrealistic outcomes. It is about restoring a sense of control over how the body feels each day. The stiffness, the dryness, the small discomforts that accumulate over time are not random. They are signals. And when those signals are met with consistent, balanced action, the body responds. Not instantly, not dramatically, but reliably. That is where the real shift happens, in the discipline of repetition, in choosing simplicity over complexity, and in understanding that improvement does not require intensity, only alignment. Over time, what once felt like decline begins to feel manageable, then comfortable, and eventually natural again. Not because something external forced change, but because the body was given exactly what it needed, consistently enough to respond.